Because thank you feels too small for all that you've given this world. You've carried centuries of pain, of being overlooked, underestimated, and mistreated. And still, you rise. You create. You lead. You love. You gave us the beat of the drum, the birth of jazz, the soul of blues, the fire of hip-hop. Not just music, but medicine. Healing wrapped in rhythm. History set to melody. You turned grief into gospel and survival into song. And while the world often took what you made, your culture, your style, your brilliance, and offered no credit, no safety, and no peace, you kept giving. You built joy in the ruins. You mothered hope. You fathered movements. You made beauty out of ashes and the truth out of silence. You didn't just survive. You redefined what it means to be resilient, to be radiant, to be real. And I need you to know this isn't about guilt. It's about gratitude. It's about finally slowing down, looking you in the eyes, and saying with my whole soul, I see you. I thank you. I honor you. You are not a side note in this world. You are the pulse, the origin, the inspiration behind so much of what moves us. To my Black brothers and sisters, you are brilliance. You are love in motion. You are the melody we can't live without. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure the world remembers it. I wasn't there when the chains were fastened, when the names were stripped, when entire lineages were shattered for profit. But I was born in the image of those who benefited, and I know that matters. Whether I asked for it or not, history has placed something at my feet, and now I choose to carry it. I don't carry the whip, but I carry its legacy, and if I stay silent, I become part of its echo. So this isn't a gesture. It's a turning point, a small offering in the direction of repair. I'm sorry that your beauty was treated like a threat, that your joy had to wear armor, that your grief was policed before it was ever held. I'm sorry the world tried to cage your brilliance, shrinking you to fit a story that you never wrote, and still expected your grace while handling the weight of it all. I'm sorry it took this long to say this, to mean it, to feel it in the body. Your pain was not an act. This isn't a history lesson. It's a thank you from the deepest part of the heart. From those of us still learning, still fighting ourselves through the fire. To our Black brothers and sisters, thank you for showing us how to rise when the world keeps trying to bury you. You've carried burdens no one should ever have to carry, and still you walk with grace, with joy, with love that reaches beyond pain. You turned oppression into rhythm. You've turned silence into song. You've turned survival into art. And through it all, you still carry love. The kind that doesn't just heal you, it teaches the rest of us how to love ourselves. You've led with more than strength. You've led with spirit, with a softness that doesn't mean weakness, with a fire that doesn't burn, it warms. You've reminded us that beauty exists in all shades, that family isn't always blood, and that our differences were never meant to divide us. They were meant to reflect God back to one another. Even those of us with fire in our hair and skin, who the world wasn't sure what to do with, you made room for us. You saw us. You taught us how to see ourselves. You showed us what rising looks like without losing your heart. What love looks like when it has every reason not to show up, but does anyway. And now we're learning too. Learning to stand beside you, to honor what you've endured, to celebrate what you've created, and to carry your example forward with gratitude, with respect, and with love. So thank you. It was engineered. And I'm standing here now to say, I see it, and I will not pretend otherwise. I don't come with answers, I come with reverence, a willingness to listen longer than I speak, to walk beside you without needing to be seen. Because healing doesn't happen in declarations. It happens in devotion, in the quiet choices we make when no one's watching, to show up differently than those who came before us. And this apology, it's not closure. is conspiration, a vow, to break the spell of silence, to name what was buried, to become the kind of ancestor who turns pain into protection and privilege into presence. I can't undo the past, but I can help carry the future. Not for you, but with you. Because dignity is not something I give. It's something I honor. And your liberation has always been divine. People love to say, if I'd have lived back then, I would have done something. If I was alive during slavery, I would have spoken up. If I saw segregation, I would have marched. I would have stood beside Dr. King. I would have fought. I would have cared. It's a comforting belief to imagine ourselves on the right side of history, to see injustice in hindsight and assume we would have chosen courage. But here's the part most people miss. You're alive during a back then, right now. Because people are still being profiled, punished, and policed for the color of their skin. Still being denied jobs, loans, and dignity. Still being watched in stores, overlooked in hospitals, and buried before their time. And no, it doesn't always look like water hoses and lunch counters anymore. But it lives in housing policies, in sentencing guidelines, in school suspensions, in headlines we scroll past, in the silence we tell ourselves isn't harmful. History is not just the past. It's the present, unfolding in real time. So if you've ever wondered where you would have stood in another era, look at where you stand right now. Do you speak up when it's uncomfortable? Do you challenge the bias in your own family, your workplace, your circle? Do you stand beside the people still fighting for bread? Or do you shrink back, hoping someone else will say what needs to be said? Because if you're quiet now, you wouldn't have been that loud back then. It's easy to say you do the right thing when the cost has already been paid. But what about now, when it's messy, when it's personal, when it means showing up, being challenged, being changed? This is our version of history, right here, right now. The question is no longer what would you have done? The question is, what are you doing?
The Black community has long suffered under the weight of systemic racism and discrimination. As white people, it is our responsibility to use our privilege to support and uplift the Black community. Here are a few ways that we can be better allies. Listen and learn. We need to listen to Black voices and experiences without interrupting or dismissing them. We should educate ourselves on the history of systemic racism and the ways that it continues to impact the Black community today. We should seek out resources, books, and documentaries that help us understand the issues. Next, speak up. We should use our privilege to speak up against racism and discrimination. We should challenge racist comments and behaviors, even if it's uncomfortable. Silence that which perpetuates racism. We should support Black-owned businesses in our communities. We should advocate for policies that support economic justice and equity. Donate to Black-led organizations. Financially support Black-led organizations that are working to address systemic racism and inequality. It can be done through regular contributions or contributing to certain campaigns and initiatives. We should also use our platforms for good as white people. We have access to platforms and audiences that the Black community may not have. We should use our platforms to amplify Black voices and perspectives, raise awareness about issues affecting the Black community, and promote positive change. Be open to feedback and learning from our mistakes, as we will make mistakes along the way. But it's important to acknowledge them, apologize, and learn from them. We should be open to feedback and willing to change our behavior and perspectives as we continue to learn and grow. Being a better ally to the Black community requires a willingness to listen, learn, and take action. It requires us to use our privilege for good, support Black-owned businesses and communities, and speak up against racism and discrimination. It's up to all of us to work towards a more just and equitable society, and being a better ally is an important step.
Zebra family, back again. I came across this video of these young women and those other guys. You know, there's something I have learned from what I listened to them. there are still good people there who realize how racism is so bad. There are some people, when they're in their corners, they think about everything and look around them and think as to if it were them being treated this way, how would they feel? You know, when somebody start to realize something and start to adjust, it is fulfilling to hear such young, brilliant people of different color talking about racism. I kind of like when Malema is always talking about black people being hated everywhere they go. Some people, they come and cast out and say, he's still stuck on the past. The past they are talking about, that they don't want to adapt and understand and start talking about those kind of things. Because the more people talk about the past, it's the more most people start to realize this was not a good thing to oppress other people. We are all humans. But because of privilege, some people, they feel like they cannot be equal to some kind of race because of their privilege. We know very well that at most times, more especially in our country, South Africa, racism was the game of the day. And the reason it was the game of the day, we had places in South Africa whereby you cannot move in a certain street, you cannot go to a certain place. And it was a law whereby you'll find other places written blacks, whites only, blacks only. But when the same people who were oppressed start to talk about these things, because in our country, we were given a black president, but we were not given the land. We are not given back the economy of the country. It is still resting on the minority, and they don't want it to move from them. So when we don't talk about such things, when you try to bring them up, like Malema, at most times he bring all these kind of things, and that is why he is hated. But when you listen to these young women and men, you start to realize that there are some good people who have understood that this is not how you should treat other human beings, as much as you will not love to be treated the same way. So now, when we listen to them, it suits my heart to listen to such people, realizing that this was not good, and feel like they want to learn, they want to adapt, they want to be part of the community, and understand exactly how they can adjust, and this kind of forgiveness. They might have not done anything bad, but looking at the bigger picture, they realize that there's something that does not connect. So why I bring Julius Malema on this is because he is the most hated person who is always talking about these things, and he doesn't want this kind of hate. But because people, they don't understand. I know most people will come and say he sings the song Bulali Bono Bulali. That is not his song. It is a struggle song, and it will never go away until black people get the land and start to enjoy the economy of the country equally with everybody. Then it's when the song will go away. But as much as now they still apartheid in the economy, on the land, whereby a minority can be the one in possession of the land of a country. More especially, they came from somewhere. They realized that the first thing they have to take when they got in South Africa is the land, because they knew that without land, you are nothing. So black people are meant to still be nothing, of no value, because they have no land. The economy is still in those hands that used to oppress them. Given a president, a black president, doesn't mean there is no more racism. As of today, I was listening to SABC. They're saying there's a kid who uttered a K word. So you ask yourself, where is the country going? Family, what do you think about this, ladies? Just drop your comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This video reminds me of Julius Malema, who hates racism. Please drop your comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bravo, bravo.